find it really hard to believe that in 2018, only 6% of care leavers are attending university. As a care leaver myself, I want to speak to people like me to find out why they aren't attending university and what more needs to be done. I caught up with Ella Dillon, a care leaver studying at Coventry Uni, who believes more support needs to be available when applying to university.
There's nobody telling you can do it. And, there are a lot of, you look up to your parents, so if they, for example, are both unemployed, you're more likely to be unemployed and never seek employment. It's the same thing. If they're not being good role models with good work ethic, I think that does link. I think in terms of doing more, people that actually know, nobody in my 3Care team has any idea really about how to apply to university or anything like that. I was very lucky that our 16 plus worker didn't stop working with me when I turned 18, but nobody else knows. Nobody else knew what UCAS was. My mum's a teacher, so I was very, very lucky.
We're just on our way to London to go and meet a guy called David Akinsanya, who is a broadcast journalist and a care leaver, and he also is an activist and campaigner for children who have been in social care's rights. So yeah, really looking forward to meeting him. We've got some important questions to ask, so yeah. Hello, I think we're outside. We're just by Stepney Green Station.
Oh, okay. I'll come over. I'm wearing an army sort of red hat.
Okay, fantastic. Brilliant. See you in a minute. Oh, I can see you.
Hello, you alright?
Hi, nice to meet you.
Where did you park?
Just all the way up the road.
Oh God, you
down,
could have.
like 0.8 miles away. How do you think the government have sort of, for want of a better word,
Fucked up? Sorry. Sorry.
yeah. But how do you think they're sort of acting in their role as like a corporate parent?
Absolutely terribly. Honestly, and I heard Lem Cisse say it on TV the other night, how dare they take these kids away from families and then do what they do with them while they're in care, which is basically nothing. They contain them and they put them out at the other end. That's not what they should be doing. I think the government should be ashamed of what. You only have to look at the figures of what happens to kids in care. If the government is saying we are a parent to those children, well, I'm looking at you and saying you're a terrible parent, because too many end up in prison, too many leave with babies, too many are relying on other services throughout their life because when they were young and they were in care, those problems weren't sorted. How many kids do you know who came into care who weren't even counselled for the reasons as to why they came into care? So they went through the care system with all this stuff going on in their head about not living at home. No one dealt with it, and so I think actually the state is a very bad parent. And if you imagine, it costs so much more to send a child to care than it does to send them to Eton. I decided that I wanted to do something different, and I wanted to use the skills that I had working with young people, just transferred it to working with old people.
Yeah.
I love it. It's a lot less money, but I love it. I go home knowing that I've done something for people every day.
So it's definitely worth it.
Oh yeah, definitely. And even, a media career.
It's clear to see David believes the government aren't doing enough in their role as the corporate parent. I went to Bournemouth University to speak to Jackie O'Brien to find out what support is available for care leavers. And what more do you think needs to be done for care leavers to make them feel at home once they get to university? I mean, it sounds like you're doing a lot, but what more do you think could be done by both the university and the government?
I think certainly for us, one of the things that I'd like to do is closer collaboration with the local authorities and the schools before people arrive. So maybe after they've applied for their place at Bournemouth, I'd like, I suppose it's a more personalised service, because you can put lots of policies in place. Different local authorities will interpret those differently because they've all got different pots of funding, different pressures on their own resources. And I think one of the things that we can do is, there might be such a centralised policies, but I think the difference that we can make is to try and personalise it for students once they get here. So it is things like having early meetings with the student, with the care leaver and their personal advisor or their social worker or whoever the main contact is within the local authority, to try and understand a little bit about them, to find out what type of person they are, to find out if they've got any specific, there might be mental health issues that they've had support on an ongoing basis for, and to talk about how that can be a bit more seamless when they get here. They might have had a lot of support from their local NHS trust, but obviously if they're moving out of area and then they're moving into Dorset, then they're going to have to transfer a lot of their mental health care. So I think some of the things like that can cause difficulties at the start, if we can get those things done earlier and really get on board with their current support, I think that will really help. That's certainly something that we can do and we can implement at a local level without waiting for government to change their policies.
After a month or so of correspondence, the Children and Young Persons Minister, Nadeem Zahawi, agreed to answer our questions, but over email. Although he declined to comment about how he felt the government were doing in their role as the corporate parent, he did, however, outline the importance of the Care Leaver Covenant, a government scheme which aims to promote the support of care leavers within the local community. One of the main problems we had when we were making this documentary was that we couldn't find children that were currently in care to participate. I think that the main problem we had as student journalists was that we didn't have that reputation to go in when we were approaching these organisations. However, overall, I do think it was a massive success because we finally got to shed a new light on care leavers rather than the negative portrayal that the media currently shows.